Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today in this video, I just wanted to talk about the latest news article I've come across in which MPs are now being ordered to take anti-racism classes after a report revealed that some senior staff members were getting black staff's names wrong or they were mixing them up with other BAME colleagues. Now, as a result of this and also other reports in which BAME colleagues and staff were being stopped more often from security than non-BAME staff, it looks as if the House of Commons are now rolling out what they call, or what we call, unconscious bias training for these MPs. Now, the question I wanted to ask yourselves and also just go through is two things. Number one, is this really necessary? And number two, really would it make a difference? Now, let's tackle number one, is this really necessary? Now, if the reports are true that the reason why this was sort of brought to light was due to getting names mixed up, you do have to wonder, is this a bit of overkill and all these microaggressions it's just a simple mistake? Because this is what's killing me nowadays. There are certain things as mistakes which are more common than not based on the type of issue it may be. So in the case of names, there are certain people from certain backgrounds with names, surnames, which are just not familiar with people in the UK based on UK last names typically and non-UK last names typically. And this doesn't necessarily have to mean people of colour. It could be Eastern Europeans, it could be Scandinavians, especially Scandinavians, because I remember some of their surnames and they're very similar, I think, with the son and how it sounds and how it looks, where you could legitimately get these names completely mixed up and it'd be completely white. So some things are just, it's not racism, it's just the fact that they just don't know. So this is just a case of, unfortunately, they've just not been exposed enough. Is that racism? I don't think so. I think it's just a legitimate mistake made, and unfortunately the logical conclusion would be a certain name would fit a certain profile, therefore using logical deduction, it's going to be one of those kind of people. It's wrong, don't get me wrong, but is this not down the territory of a simple mistake, easy to do, as opposed to this has to be some sort of insidious racism situation now where everyone's now been ordered to take unconscious bias, prejudice training to unlock just the psyche of the subconscious mind that determines that for whatever reason now this is some sort of racist attack against all people with these type of names. I mean, come on, is that where we're coming to? Can we not apply some sort of common sense and say, look, this is a simple mistake, yada, 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 and then try and move on and try your best as possible to not make those mistakes? Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We make mistakes, you make mistakes. Are you telling me that because of that, all of this is necessary? I don't know. You tell me. And then number two, is this even going to make a difference? Now, apparently, according to this report, MPs have already taken these types of training before. This isn't the first time, as you can imagine, this has happened. I mean, to be fair, a lot of people seem to think that this racism, prejudice, bias, a lot of these things have only been taking place this year. This has been going on a long time in regards to the rhetoric regarding inequality, regarding BAME. So this is something that's been going on for a long time, and training, it looks like, has already been rolled out. But from what they seem like saying, especially with this report, it's not made a difference at all. So my question is this even going to make any more difference? Have we got any more new information that's come out this year that all of a sudden doesn't apply or is completely new, which is going to completely transform how everyone thinks and how everyone feels? I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to make a difference. And I'll tell you also why I don't think it's going to make a difference. And this is something which a lot of people don't want to say this because it's controversial, but it is the 100% truth when I say this. Everyone has their own unconscious prejudice about groups, individuals, genders, you name it. And here's the thing. A lot of it isn't insidious in regards to your sexist, your racist, xenophobic, whatever issue you want to use. A lot of it is just, how I put it, a defense mechanism. Now, what do I mean by this? At the end of the day, we have been evolved to try and, at least at the bare minimum, survive on this earth. Us as human beings have evolved enough so we can survive. So in order to survive, we have various different, I won't call them prejudices, but we have certain structures in our mind that we know if a certain situation arises, we can almost know what to look for so we can escape the danger. For example, if we see someone running to us, at the end of the day, that person may not be doing any harm, but automatically you're on your guard. Why? Because you're sensing a situation is happening where someone's running to you. So you think, oh, days, what's going on here? I'm going to now pay attention. My senses have been heightened. Now, how does it relate to human beings? I'll tell you how. Unfortunately, and this is the truth now, we know what certain groups have a tendency to commit certain types of crimes. If you're in an airport and you see certain types of groups of people, even if you know that is not the majority, you have an instinct, a fight or flight instinct to think, okay, this group of people may be more propensity. Is it right or is it right? We know it's not right. but this is what it takes to survive. Because at the end of the day, that one time which you let your guard down could be that one time which you're no longer here. As horrible as that sounds, this is the reality. Certain things which we have inbuilt in us aren't built out of just, we don't know where they're coming from. There's legitimate cause for certain things to be named, or for certain things to be believed, or certain propensities for certain things to happen that we take on and think, okay, this is what we believe, this is what we now can see, this is how we're going to try and survive to make sure they don't happen to us, because we see certain things. A lot of it's influenced by the media, but a lot of it's influenced by just our day-to-day lives and our interaction with certain different types of people. Another example, if you hear a mass shooter around, what color of people do you think are going to be associated with a mass shooter? You're thinking, okay, spot the white boy, who's the mass shooter? You're not thinking of black people. Equally, if you're thinking of maybe a drive-by or someone being knife-crammed, who are you thinking of? You see, when we talk about these sort of unconscious bias and prejudice that we all have, a lot of these things are just defense mechanisms that we use and that we need to survive, because at the end of the day, this world is not kind. I mean, we want to live in a perfect world. I believe so. Most of us want to live in this perfect, harmonious world where everyone's just, love and peace and harmony and all this kind of other stuff. But the reality is far from the truth. If the earth as it is right now is not in peace when it comes to volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, there's a food chain, what makes you think that us as human beings, I know we're evolved. However, we're still human beings, we're still animals at the end of the day. There's still certain things that we have to just certain truths in life. We're not saying it's all people, because that will never be the case. But there are certain things that we all tell it to ourselves. And we all like, look, just keep your guard up, just because certain people in certain situations, there may be certain tendencies for things to happen. That's all it is. And sometimes this is how, when we talk about unconscious bias and prejudice, I'm like, to try and undo certain things, it actually could be to our detriment as opposed to our harm. As opposed to our good. So when I hear these things, I'm just like, do people really understand exactly what these so-called unconscious bias are really based off? A lot of it is not based off anything insidious. It's based on the primal instinct to survive. And without that survival instinct, we're nothing but pawns on this place. Because at the end of the day, it's even on a micro level when it comes to making sure that people don't rip you off, or making sure that people don't tell a lie on you. There's certain things that we have to make sure that we can survive on this planet, however it seems. And it's just a guard up. Now, again, I'm not saying that it means that we believe all people like this or all groups do this, because that's just stupid, that's silly, that's definitely not what I'm saying. But there is a cause to say, look, a lot of these unconscious quote-unquote bias or prejudice that we have, it's there for a reason. It's there to, again, keep us on this planet surviving, taking another day, because most of us don't want to. We want to see another day. We don't want to leave this earth anytime soon. So these are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Until next time.